Notts County Talk, we are live for episode 37 of the Pavis Perspective, obviously on a Friday, a little bit later than usual. There are good reasons for that. I have just walked through the door from drop-off at Birmingham Airport. Made it with about 2 minutes to spare. George, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Surroundings are obviously a little bit different. If you watch regularly, I'm actually on holiday again at Centre Parks, just there for the weekend. It is all right for some, but it's the first time I've ever been. Quite impressed, actually. Really nice place. So kind of gutted I won't be able to. I won't have a chance to even listen along tomorrow. I'm kind of gutted about that, but I think it's a bigger game than most people might expect.
Yeah, it definitely is. Evening, Sarah. Evening, Maggie. That have just joined us. Good to have you join us. Before we kick into that, then, what do you make? Have you seen the group stage draw for England?
Yeah.
What do you make to that?
It's easy, isn't it? It's coming home.
Oh, you'd like to think it's easy. Would you rather have? Let's say Ukraine don't make it through. Would you rather have Scotland or Wales?
I'd like to play Scotland again. I've got in fact, we both have a friend who's I'm not going to say he's Scottish. He's got a little bit of Scot in him, but yeah, he supports Scotland, and he's buzzing for us to. He was buzzing when we drew with them. So I'd just like to put that right, because we should really be beating teams like Scotland.
Yeah, they're a poor team, aren't they? Poor team. Yeah. So, like you say, big game against Southend. It feels weird not to have a Tuesday night game, doesn't it? It definitely does feel strange not to have that Tuesday game. And it's good, I think, now. We can fully focus on every single game rather than worry about, having a 2-day gap preparing for a big side. Look, we have to prepare for teams like Stockport, Bournemouth, Chesterfield on a Tuesday night. In 2 days, you can't possibly do that effectively. So it'll be important. There's obviously a lot to talk about outside of the actual football, isn't there, as well? So yeah, that'll be interesting. We've got a few things to have a look at there. Luke says, could Notts beat Iran? Not specifically, but England C couldn't beat Wales C, and we're absolutely getting hammered at half time.
Is it Iran who've got that player that does that? Like the throw in where they do like a front flip?
If it is, then the answer
is Iran.
Notts couldn't beat Iran if you can do that front flip throw in.
Throws into the box, we struggle, don't we?
Yeah, we really do struggle. But could Notts beat Iran? No, I don't think so. Not the way that
I don't know. I don't know any Iranian players, do you?
Yeah, that Porto striker Taremi that scored something like 20 goals or something this season. I don't know anyone else, but there we go. Obscure football knowledge. Callum is here. I had the pleasure after the Chesterfield game of meeting Callum, giving him his prize from last week. George didn't get to meet him, but what a lad. Hero Callum. So it's great to meet you. I hope your mum enjoyed the present that you said was from you. So there we go. Well, let's kick off then. Let's briefly look back at Chesterfield. It's been a week. The dust has settled. We'll have a brief look back at that. I came away gutted, frustrated. I thought we had enough chances to win. I've seen the Wharton header back. Oh my goodness. It looks worse. It looks worse when you watch it back. Yeah, it genuinely does. And for me, that confirms that no matter what's been said, no matter what Birchnell said, how other players have performed, I know we've sort of been saying it and we've been on that side of it, but that concrete, that is it. We needed another striker. Absolutely 100%. That did it for me. Because if that game is in not 3 weeks, if that game's in sort of 2 months' time, a month and a half time, and that's a playoff final when that happens, that you're in trouble. So for me, that definitely we need another striker.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Game after game after game after game, do we have enough chances to win a game? We're not putting away. And to sort of go back to the miss Wharton had, it's sort of so similar for me, the sort of shocked faces around me. And I remember just looking at you in complete disbelief to Richardson's miss against Stockport, and you literally cannot believe that they've missed that chance. And to have two in quite close succession in games, I don't want to be too critical, but if we want to be really at the business end of things in the playoffs, we need to be putting chances like that away in our sleep. Do you know what I mean? It should be second nature. More so, Wharton obviously is a striker. He should be more instinctive in front of goal, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to get across, I think Kyle Wotton's a great player. I really like what he does. Like, his work rate is phenomenal. It's so good.
Yeah.
His off the ball work.
All he needs to work on is his finishing. Like, that's it. I love him. He's a great player. But if he just had it, like, he could literally, thinking off the top of my head now, could have at least 5 more goals this season.
Yeah, but also part of the reason he doesn't have even more goals, I know he's had chances, but part of the reason he doesn't have even more is because he's part of the build-up play. Do you know what I mean? You've got players like Shamanga who did a little bit of the build-up play for Chesterfield, but he's in there to score. If you want Wotton to play like that, I know it will detract from the system we play, but if you want Wotton to play like that, then you've got to have someone alongside him. It's pointless to keep going back to this name, but someone like Christian Dennis, because I'm using that because it's the last player I can think of that was clinical and would just hover in the box and do things like that. But you want players like that who are going to take their chances. I saw him score one the other week for, I think it's Carlisle, and it's literally, he's not going to win the ball. You're watching it, you think Christian Dennis is not going to win the ball, and he just links it over the keeper, and you think, yeah, that's that's exactly what we've been needing. So yeah, the system's not going to change, and you just got to hope that when it gets to that point of a playoff game, because I'm fairly confident we get to the playoffs. In a playoff game, you miss that chance, or chances like that, done. You're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Look what happened against Stockport. I know Stockport aren't going to be a playoff team. I'd be gobsmacked if they are. We missed our 2 chances to go ahead, and we lost 3-0 because we missed 2 chances. I know it wouldn't have gone 2-0 because if you score the first chance, the second chance you probably don't get. You're 1-0 up, then you've got something to cling on to. But
yeah, and I feel football's it's a mind game as well as so. If you go 1-0 down to Notts, I think mentally it feels like a bigger hill to climb, in my opinion. But they've obviously they've shown this season that they can go 2 behind at half time and come back and win. So it's a team with some serious spine in it, Stockport.
It is, definitely. Luke, we're going to get onto that question about Cal in just a second. We'll finish up talking about the Chesterfield game, and then we'll have a look at that. Jack says, if we had the opportunity to sign Dennis again, would you? Yeah, I've said it. Yeah, a few times. I think, I don't know if I said it on this or I've just said it to George. I'll definitely have him back.
I mean, to be honest with you, in my years of supporting Notts, I feel like he's probably up there for being like as clinical as anyone. Obviously you've got your obvious ones like Lee Hughes, but I think he was really good in front of goal. But if we was talking about bringing another striker in, I wouldn't even really be sure who to go for, like who'd fit the system. If Wharton does go, let's say, in hindsight, like, what sort of player would we want? Would we want someone like Shamanga, or I don't know?
I think you want a quick player.
But does that detract from the system, like you were just saying? If we have someone like that who's going to maybe not contribute to our style as much.
Personally, in the Wrexham game, the trophy game, we had Lewis Knight playing off Kyra Mitchell. Not Lewis Knight, sorry, Naman. I was thinking Lewis Knight because he's a player I was thinking next season we could do with. Naman playing off Kyra Mitchell. Now, both of those players, I thought first half were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they tailed off because they've not played much football and they were in a system they weren't used to both playing together. I thought first half Naman was got him behind so many times. Mm-hmm. Now, if that's Wotton and Naman, or Wotton and Lewis Knight, or Wotton and someone we brought in, I think that would have been a lot better. Do I think it detracts from the system? I don't know, because we make chances. So if we change the system, will we make this many chances? I don't know. So there we go. And we obviously can't sign anyone now. So yeah, we just got to suck it up and hope those chances fall for us.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've got to hope that anyway. A special mention as well. Now I want to talk about Carl Curran, but for the players that have stepped in defence.
Yeah.
I think Rawlinson and Lacey have been superb. Really, really do. And I was thinking this, in a playoff run, if I had to pick sort of 4 players that are going to be the most important in a playoff run, the way Notts play, I'm going to say now, you want Rawlinson fit. You want Jim O'Brien fit, I think, in a playoff run, especially playing against like Chesterfield or Wrexham.
Yeah.
You want Dion Kelly-Evans fit. Now, I know I slated him a few weeks ago, not really him. I didn't really slate him, but I just sort of said we need that quality, and would he start for the bigger teams? But we want someone like Dion Kelly Evans on a yellow card. Do you remember the tackle in the corner at the end against Chesterfield? On a yellow, unbelievable. And you want Kyle Cameron fit. For me, those four will not shirk any challenge. They'll smash everyone. They'll give it all, and then you play around those with our more creative players. But and then obviously Harry Arter. But who for you, if we get that playoff run, is the most important? Because for me, forget all your flair players. We've got those in abundance. We've got those to make chances. I want those four players fit.
Yeah. I think I agree with you, to be honest. I'd probably throw Matty Palmer in there. I think he's been really, and I sing his praise all the time, but I honestly do. I think he's the best player that we've had this season. If I was to call it now, I'd even say player of the season for Notts. He's been so consistently good. You get that sort of 7 to 8 out of 10 performance from him every game, and he's played near on every minute this season. He's been class. But yeah, I think Cameron, we need Cameron back as soon as possible. Obviously, it's looking like playoffs in the video he said.
But if we got to the playoffs, and let's say we got to the playoffs,
I know what you're going to say.
And the first game, is I don't know, Wrexham in the playoffs. Would you put Kyle Cameron with no games into the playoffs?
I know. I was thinking this last night. It's difficult, isn't it? Do you put someone like Cameron in? Coming back from injury, I don't know. It's very difficult to be out for as long as he will be, and then obviously be coming into such an important game. Is it risky? Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like we'll get shades of Ben Turner coming in at Wembley.
I was just thinking that. I hope we're wrong. Like, Cameron's a completely different player to Ben Turner. Let's be honest, but. I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying.
It would take 1 second to switch off, one thing to switch off, and it's there. Callum says, just need Harry Arter's pointing finger. If Harry Arter points every game in the playoffs, Callum, we've won.
We've won, yeah.
You've pretty much got that nailed on. And then there's the other obvious elephant in the room. I have no idea about Cal Roberts. Now, Ellie said, have we seen on Facebook, some people have been sending messages to Cal's mum, of hate messages of him not playing, but then playing for England. Obviously, I haven't seen that, but if that's true, that's shocking, and I wouldn't call them fans. But where do we sit with this? Where do we sit with this?
I kind of not a rant so much, but I just think it's all speculation. It's all like we know nothing in concrete. You hear, my friends told me this who goes to the same bar as him or something like that. It's all hearsay as it is so far, and people are criticizing Birchnell if something like that has happened and he's not discussed it. But I kind of respect Birchnell for doing that because he's backing his player even though he's sort of not on great terms with him. If that's the case, I don't know whether to believe it is or not. But all I know is no one knows anything, other than Carl and maybe a few of the teammates and Birchnell. So to be speculating, like for me looking in, I think you don't know how much, Cal's been struggling this season. If he's obviously been picked up an injury there, and he really probably wanted to grasp this England C call up, and go for it and really go for it and be 100% fit for it.
Did you see the picture of him lining up before the match? He was like the only player smiling, like a massive smile.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So something like that could mean a lot to Cal, and I think you've got to think about things like that. People are so quick to jump on this like bandwagon, and I'm prove me wrong. I'm not too phased, but I think people are just jumping to conclusions that don't need to be jumped to.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, if you watched any of it, he's the only player that turned up for England C.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
The only player that wanted to actually look like they actually wanted to be there. The others looked like they didn't really care. Also, Luke says maybe Birchall rest him so he could be fully fit for his big game after being called.
That's what I mean.
Do you know what I mean?
It might have meant loads to him. It might have been massive for him. And let's be honest, I mean, Cal maybe one day in the future, if things go right for him, how many players at this level are going to get the chance to play for England at any level, whether it's A, B, or C? You can't knock that. I know it's England C, but it's still a fantastic thing to be involved in.
And at the same time, I'm not saying Cal is a player that would sulk. I'm saying this generally as any player. If they've got their games to represent their country, which, let's be honest, other than England C, none of these players are going to represent their country at this level. Would you play him and risk an injury and when he's not 100% for Notts, and then he doesn't get to play that game, and then you've got a player that's downbeat about it?
Yeah.
And then
you think about the year he's just had as well. where he's struggled with injury. He's been out, and then to get a call up for England and then not be able to play because he's got injured at club level, he'd have been gutted. So I think you've got to think of it from both perspectives. I can understand maybe if there has been a fallout. I can also understand maybe if he's just said, look, I really want to give it a go at this England C call up. You're never really going to know how it's gone. So kind of going to defend him in that respect,
Yeah, I mean, I do see where people are coming from in the respect of like now starting to jump to conclusions, because when you look at it on the face of it, not even fit enough to make the bench for Chesterfield, and then 90 minutes on Wednesday for what obviously we said he might see as a massive game, but we see as a pointless game at a time when every player in that squad is going to be in a playoff battle.
Yeah.
Some people have even withdrawn their players. Who was it? Was one team withdrew their players?
Stockport.
Was it Stockport? I think one of them.
I know one or two did, didn't they, for Stockport?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if Chesterfield did, to be fair, but I don't think they did they?
Chesterfield probably furloughed them anyway. But like, what's really important is to wait until there's anything, like you say. Now, if we go tomorrow and he's not even in this on the subs, then it's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Then it's a completely different story.
I've seen Luke saying that Bertrand would have addressed it, but he wasn't questioned about it, really, was he? Directly, maybe it'd be something that might be addressed by Charlie after the game, because Charlie Slater, that is, he's normally straight talking with things like that, and we'll ask those questions. So we'll probably find out in the next day or two. But at this moment in time, I'd just say it's speculation as far as anyone can really say, unless anyone's got solid evidence,
Yeah, Max says he doesn't think Chesterfield was Cow's type of game. I don't mind counting his playing for his country. It's a one-off opportunity. It is.
Exactly.
And, having a little break out of the team, getting him motivated, he will know he put in a good performance for England. Of course he will. Like, all the fans that watched it know he was the best player for England and the only one looking like he was going to do anything for them. Then he can come straight back in. Look, he can walk in, I've just represented my country. Him and Palmer represented their country. Only so many players got picked for that in the whole league. So for him to do that, let him have the rest from the team, take the focus onto other players, like Rodriguez has started to play really well again, let people focus on him. Opposition probably don't know when Carroll's coming back. So I think that, as well, get him fully fit for the playoffs if that's the case. So, I mean, next Thursday or next Friday when we do the Pavis perspective, we could be having a very different conversation. But let's hope we're talking about how well he's played, because we're completely in the dark. If we get to tomorrow and he's not even on the bench, unless he's concrete picked up an injury from the England game. So, then there'll be talk about it. At the minute, I'm just going to reserve judgment. You like to see the best in things as well, George, which is good.
Good. Definitely.
So there we go. A few people saying he didn't get a penalty because he's a Notts player. We got a penalty obviously on last Saturday, but we haven't had many this season. I don't think we haven't had many at all. So
was it a penalty, Tom?
Of course it was. 100%. Don't even say it wasn't a penalty.
I think it was. There was just a lot of speculation, wasn't there? I seen Slater was saying that people around him said they didn't think it was when they first saw it, and then when they saw it in video, think it was, and other people saying the other way around when they first saw it, thought it was a penalty, and then when they re-saw it, didn't think it was. But
it was on rumor.
I thought it. Yeah, I thought it was.
He knew the contact was coming, but the guys cleaned him out.
I wish Ruben took the penalty. That'd have been class, because his family were all there, weren't they?
Yeah, they were all there. Right, you spoke to them on the way out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Told them that you were the reserve goalkeeper or something, making things up again. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. So you don't need to lie. Chris says 100% a penalty. I agree. Also, what do they make of BT? They've just taken a round of 8 fixtures, or they've chosen 8 new fixtures. Knott's not even in one of them. I'm so glad Knott's not in BT. This isn't putting it with Knott's tinted spectacles on or whatever. BT don't like Knott's.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll put my tinted spectacles on every time I watch back like the highlights and it's got the BT commentary. I'll mute the video because it's just unbearable.
It is. And there was a game. I don't know if it was I don't think it was a 6-1 against Barnet. There was another game at home where we were really, really good. and it was left to one of the last on the highlights show. And then they finished the highlights and talked about the game before. And it was very, very strange. And then, from what I gathered, they put the microphones in front of the Chesterfield fans on Saturday.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Put them in front of our family stand, which is obviously the smallest stand with the least fans in. And yeah, there's just even when we scored, I don't know if you heard the commentary. They said something like, "When you haven't had anything in the game, you take your chances." I thought Notts were pretty good first half, to be honest.
There's an agenda.
There's an agenda. Max says BT have a weird relationship with Wrexham and Stockport. Definitely with Wrexham, 100%. I remember going to the Wrexham game away from home, and like the Notts players came out. I think it was when they were coming out separately because of COVID still. The Notts players walked out. There wasn't a camera near them. It was like a swarm when the Wrexham players came out. So it was absolutely ridiculous. But let it all be on them. Let it all be on them.
Yeah, take it.
And again, Max, we won 5-0 on the opening day, and they spoke about Wrexham beating Solihull, barely mentioned us. Can't stand Adam Virgo. I think, Max, you are spot on with the Adam Virgo comment. I'm not sure many of us can. There we go. I questioned them, and it sort of made me think on the driving back from Birmingham Airport earlier. If you just joined, I only just made it back. Went for a drop-off at Birmingham Airport. Do you enjoy driving? It's yes, no, or you don't drive. Now, I'll be interested to see this at the end. I think I know you enjoy driving, George, because you drive us to all the away games. Even when you've just done 2 in a row, you offer to drive us to the other away games. So
I drive all the time, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're in the yes category.
Yep.
I'm in the yes category, unless it's the same drive to work every day. That gets me. I don't mind driving, but the same drive. But it's interesting to see what you think. Interesting to see what you think.
I'll tell you what, I went to where did I go the other day? Cardiff. Yeah. And drove over the Severn Bridge. That's quite a spectacle if anyone's ever drove over that. It's about 1.5 miles long, but it's a massive bridge. Pretty cool.
There you go. Chris says depends on where you're driving to. If you're driving to Severn Bridge, George has basically just said for you on there. Put it on TripAdvisor, George. Severn Bridge, 10 out of 10 or whatever. It's 5 out of 5. Unbelievable. Right, we look ahead to Saturday then. Quite strange. We're not back at Med Lane until the 15th now for Good Friday against Kings Lynn. These are the last 2 games before our fixture list is so favourable, you couldn't write it. You know, if we'd have kept up the chasing pack, we would have won the league pretty much, I think. And I'm not afraid to say that. Looking at the league now, we have Dover to play twice, they're bottom. We have Weymouth to play at home, they're second to bottom. We have Kings Lynn at home, third from bottom. We have Aldershot away, fourth from bottom. Couldn't write it. We've not kept up, but we're still in there. Do you think second and third still doable? 6 points behind?
I think we've just got to do what we can do. I think a lot of second and third kind of ties down to what the teams above us do, obviously, at this point in the season. I think fixture-wise, it's a good, we've got a good chance of getting there, haven't we? It's just about really, like I say, the teams above us dropping points.
Yeah, it is. Now we've got Southend of 13, 47 points. Grimsby are the last playoff place on 59. Southend were in a bad way at the start of the season. They've picked up. They've lost a couple of games recently. They've picked up, but this is make or break for them. So they have to really win if they want any chance of getting the playoffs. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. They're 12 behind. They have to win this last game, which means they might come out and attack against us, or if they've already settled for not getting playoffs, then they don't have to come out. But you sort of alluded to this at the start. It's not easy, is it? It's not an easy game to go to Southend.
No.
And we were thinking of going at one point, obviously, but we haven't been able to make it. If you look at Southend, in the last 10 games, they've picked up 15 points. In our last 10 games, we've picked up 16 points. If you look at Southend in the last 15 games, so out of a possible 45 points, we picked up 23, they picked up 28. So I've just noticed as well, out of a possible 45 points, Stockport picked up 43. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty unreal.
Yeah, that's mad. That's just caught my eye there. But yeah, they've done better than us recently.
They've not lost in their last 15 games.
Yeah, out of a possible 60 points, they picked up 55. Out of 60. In that same time, wow. They picked up 33.
That's unbelievable.
It's mad.
Fair play. That's some going. That is.
Yeah.
Just shows you, doesn't it? Like what? Like that's literally, you said it a few times. Signing the season, Dave Chandler.
Definitely. 100%. I mean, worryingly looking at that, they picked up 55 out of 60. Wrexham have picked up 45.
Yeah, I still think we're doing in playoffs. I honestly do. Yeah.
I hope that no one watching this and they've just clipped that ready to put out.
Put it
They
out.
had a bit of one of their podcasts had a bit of a go at us, didn't they? Because we said we played better than them in the trophy game.
Yeah.
Got a bit upset about that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Can't handle it. They got really upset, didn't they? Which is funny.
Yeah.
Very funny. But I'm looking at that playoff picture. We've got Southend. Chris says here, look, if we get 6 points from the next 2 games, we're in with a shout. If we get 6 points from the next 2, I would back us to take 3rd or 2nd place.
Difficult games. Big, like we can't underestimate these 2 games. You know, not Stockport, Torquay. We struggle against Torquay. Do you know what I mean? They might not be doing as well this season, but I still think we find it difficult to beat Torquay. So yeah, I think 6 points for the next 2 games, massive.
They have a player I really like as well, that Lemon Evans.
Lemon Evans, yeah.
Lemon Evans, really good player, and he worries me. He does. I was just about to say, he will be playing. I think he plays on the left. He'll be up against Richardson or Kelly Evans, and that made me think. I've seen some people say they're a little bit disappointed with Richardson's overall performances lately. Would you agree? Or do you think he needs Cal to link up with?
Yeah, I don't think he needs Cal. I think he's a good player. He's got a high bar, hasn't he? So you expect a real high level of performance from him all the time. But like you say, Cal in front of him, you know, him and Cal link up. You know, they link up players the best in the team between them, you know, when they're on the pitch together. You can just see they have an understanding of each other, a really, really good understanding of each other as well. Overlaps, underlaps. So, yeah, I think he really shines when he plays with Cal.
You think so? Yeah. That's just an interesting point because I've seen a few people say it, that's all. Yeah, so I agree, Chris. Next couple of games, win those, and I do back us to get there. If we pick up 4 points, that's really good. We've got to, obviously, like you say, face Torquay without Cameron. I think we take next game as it is. If we get 3 points against Southend, I'll take a point at Torquay. Vice versa, if we get 1 point tomorrow, I think we need 3 against Torquay. But I'm looking at that playoffs now. Wrexham, Chesterfield, Halifax, Solihull, and currently Grimsby. I think Bournemouth will fall out of it now. I think Dagenham are too far behind. Bromley are the only ones really that can make that chase with 2 games in hand, but they've fallen like a stone as well recently. So any of those teams in there, it's not like last season where I'd have taken some of the teams, or the first year where we took Barnet and we took Barnet to the cleaners, didn't we, at Meadow Lane? It was that awful rain. Do you remember? Poor rain. I think it was Cal Roberts scored an almost identical goal to the Barrow goal, and Christian Dennis scored, I think, as well. That was just painfully easy. You know, you think about that, how we just had to beat Barnet and we were at Wembley. Whereas last season we had to beat Chesterfield, then we had to try and beat Torquay. That one extra game is huge, isn't it? That, like, just having one more game to win, massive. We'll go on to the team then for Southend away. Not an easy game. What formation do you go?
Good question. I think stick with 5 at the back, you know.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
So 3-5-2, 5-3-2.
Is Yaros back? I think he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Do you bring him in?
Yeah, I can't see why not.
Yeah, Chris, that's a big choice. It is a big choice because the keeper that comes in now is the keeper for the rest of the season, I think. So, who is it? Is the question. I think he wants Yaros. I know Max says Slocum's playing well, but I think Birchall will go with Yaros. I really do. And Birchall's not picked Slocum when he's had the choice between him and Patterson or him and Yaros. What I like is Slocum's come back in, no fuss, and played perfectly well.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
So that doesn't. If he plays Yaros and something happened, it tells me that Slocum has no grudges. He'll come back in, he'll do his absolute best, and he'll show passion for it as well. So I'm happy. I think Yaros will come in. Back 5 then. Who are you going with? Go your wing backs first.
Richardson, Kelly Evans.
Kelly Evans left, Richardson right, yeah?
Yeah.
I agree. Joel Taylor, I don't know if we'll see him get a starting spot again this season.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened. But yeah, I'll go for
And then centre backs, obviously left side, Chickson. In the middle, Rawlinson. And then Lacey on the right. Won't be opposed to seeing Graham in there somewhere, for sure. But for me, that's the back three I'd go for.
Yeah, we should have really seen when Graham signed this further development with Kyle Cameron. We should really have seen that because the Tuesday games had finished.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The only thing I'd say to that is obviously Brindley as well, isn't it? Obviously Brindley's broke his arm, so that's another player down. And with us going sort of back into the five at the back, we do need that cover.
Yeah, Chris says we really signed Graham to sit on the bench. I don't think so.
I doubt it.
Unless the plan is, I think maybe the plan was for Chickson to pull left wing back, and then Graham could slot in at centre back. But Kelly Evans put such a good performance in at wing back. I think you keep Chickson centre back. I think Chickson and Kelly Evans were good down that left. Chickson doesn't mind driving, does he? And I think it's something he's worked on because at the start of the season he didn't seem to do that very often. So that could possibly be the reason I'll keep Kelly Evans at fullback. Midfield then, who are you going with? And how many are you going with?
I'll go Arter.
Agreed.
Palmer and Vincent.
I'd go Arter and Palmer. No Vincent.
Okay.
And then, so I'm guessing you're going Ruben and Wootton.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go Ruben, Wootton, and Eli Sam.
Really?
He can't just sit out. I know he got ill, but he was banging them in. And you don't want him to lose all that match sharpness that he had. Like, he starts for me over Vincent. It's a tricky one.
What about Roberts?
Like, there you go. What about Roberts? You're not playing Roberts, are you, on your side? He's on the bench for me. Played 90 on Wednesday. He probably won't start. He's travelled with the England team. He's probably not trained as much with Nott. So I would go Roberts bench to come on, but then probably start Roberts against Torquay.
Okay.
That's what I think I'll go with. Yeah, I'll go with that. We'll do a score prediction today. Last time we did who do you think would man of the match. We'll go score prediction. Before we do that, George, the poll man, have a go.
The poll man. What name? Do you enjoy driving? 15% say no. 31% say I don't drive. 54%, a resounding 54% say yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you look forward to it when you pass, don't you? When you're growing up, you look forward to driving. And I've told George, I nearly drove off the road tonight on the way back from Birmingham. Not through a fault of my own. Well, it's through a fault of my own. I got all, the spray up on the windscreen from a lorry, and then without me knowing, no water or screen wash. And then the sun set in, nightmare situation. It could have just been George tonight just talking on here. It could have been. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
It could have been. It could well have been.
It could have been.
Screen wash mania. I've sort of recently took up listening to audiobooks while I drive. That's a big development for me, that is.
Tip of the day.
Yeah, the amount of books I get through, unbelievable. I'd never be able to get through this many books about Audible.
Have you finished all of the Mr. Men books now?
Oh yeah, I'm well through them. Into Biff and Chip now.
Oh, they're class. If you remember Biff and Chip at school, put it in the comments, because what a book series that was. Biff, Chip and Kip and the dog.
I want to say as well, Shane's just said road trips away are brilliant. They actually are. Like, away day, proper away days. When you stop at services and it's like full of other football fans, they're class.
Yeah, definitely. Right then, you can go first. What do you think the score will be away to Southend?
1-0 Notts. Matty Palmer.
Okay, Matty Palmer. He's more advanced, isn't he? More advanced with Arter there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay.
I think they're going to really go for it, like fully go for it. And this is their last chance to make playoffs. They'll score. I think they'll score. I like Sam Dalby, their striker, and they've got Reece Murphy as well, who I don't think has actually played that much lately, but they've got Sam Dalby, who's scored 9 goals this season. So I'll go with that. And then I'm already going to put it in. I think we draw this one. I think we win against Torquay in a week's time. Personally, you're not going to be able to listen to the game, which is gutting for you. I'll keep you up to date.
I'll try my best. I will try my best.
Yeah, but you can't be in centre parts. You can't be in the swimming pool listening to knots on your Sony Walkman or whatever it is. You just can't be doing that. Clip to your trunks.
You're stuck in the past, man.
Because your overhead headphones clip to your trunks while you're going down the slide.
Disc drive. Remember those Walkman discs where you put a disc in?
Yeah, you'll be having one of them. You'll be having a cassette player.
Class.
So let's see what you guys are thinking then. For the result, we've got to get it in there, haven't we? 4-0 Chicken and Richardson. Straight in there. No messing about at all. Max says 2-1 Knots. Ruben and Arta similar to Dagenham game. A week is fantastic for Arta to recover, I think, fitness-wise. Definitely needed. To come straight in and play 3 games in a week after not playing very much is big. We've seen what he can do. Shane their road trips away, bro. Luke, 2-1 Knots. Wootton and Arta. Jack says 2-1 Knots. Wootton and Richardson feeling confident. Wootton and Richardson to get on the score sheet after the few games they've had. I know Wootton scored the penalty, but it'd be really, really good. Chris Knots doing 2-1 Ruben and Wootton. We've got 2 more then. Shane says 2-0 Knots. And Paul says 3-0 Knots. Yeah, if our confidence is to go by, I know I've gone for a draw, then we'll be all right. I'm not sure if it's the FA Trophy tomorrow, so Wrexham and Stockport don't play league games. But anyway, I might be wrong. We'll have to see what everyone else does around us because it is crunch time this season. George, enjoy the rest of your weekend at Centre Parks.
Thank you.
Get that Walkman on ready for Charlie Slater to be listening to him. Yeah,
it'll be on ready. Don't worry.
So yeah, if you have joined us, obviously Friday night 8 p.m. We are on Fridays for a few more weeks, and then we're back to our usual slot off Thursdays. Not many Sunday ones because obviously there's only Dover coming up. If you have enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. We are fast approaching 1,900. And thank you very much for listening to our Pavis Perspective number 37, powered by Better Bytes Computers, who you can find out all about their website in the description below. If you are traveling again tomorrow, enjoy it and bring back 3.